Hey YouTube world, I'm back. It's Maria. So today I am going to give you something a little different. We're going to talk about missions and missions trip, particularly a short-term missions trip because I've been on one and I'm not a missionary. There are people who do missions as a full-time job, but we'll get into that in a little bit. So missions pretty much is going somewhere to another nation and spreading the gospel, the word of Jesus. And usually it depends on what you do and where you go that you'll do different things. Usually you go with a church and you help people from over there that already have, like, let's say Christian churches, and they have ministries that they want you to join and they want you to help because maybe they have a church there already, a small church, and they just want a little bit more help, or maybe you can teach them something new. So that's what it is in Christianity. I would say modern Christianity. I know Catholics also do it. I'm just going to read you the Bible verse of what Jesus said, I guess, is our mission here on this earth. So it says, he said this to his disciples after he rose from the dead, and he was here for like 40 days after. And then right before he left back up to heaven, he told this to his disciples. And it says, it's Matthew 28:18. And Jesus came and spoke to them, saying, all authority has been given to me in heaven and on earth. Go therefore and make disciples of all the nations, baptizing them in the name of the Father and of the Son and of the Holy Spirit, teaching them to observe all things that I have commanded you. And lo, I am with you always, even to the end of the age. Amen. So Jesus said for us to do this. This is our mission, to go to the nations. So there's people who are missionaries and they live in a different country, learn the language, establish churches there, and actually live there for a very long time. And they're missionaries. Like, they live there, they learn the language, they learn the culture, they learn the people, and they live with them and have community with them, and they share the gospel, because that is the gospel. In Acts, people lived together, they broke bread together. Then there's short-term missions. That is something where you can go for 2 weeks, a month, a year, and then you have an end goal, like you're coming back home, but you'll do the same things, and you'll go and assimilate to the culture and pray for them and help them in any way that they need, whether it be with food or by serving them and all of that stuff. So those are two different types. The one I went to was Christ for the City International. What the point of Christ for the City International is, they go to cities in different nations. So I think they had different ones, like Africa, South America. I think they may have had one in every continent. So about 2 years ago, 2014, I decided to go on a short-term mission trip. I was kind of in a place where I didn't know what I was doing at the church I was at, so I was like, well, I guess this would be a good idea, and it would be kind of different. I've never really done a missions trip. I never knew what it entailed. So I signed up for this. I remember I just had to send an application, and I was signing up as a nurse, so maybe like they could use me for something over there, so whatever it was. So yeah, so I sent out an application and they have to accept you, and it all happened really fast. I remember, like, within 2 weeks I had my ticket, I was ready to go, and yeah, so I had a vacation from work and I ended up going for 2 weeks to Cordoba, Argentina, and it was a very humbling experience, and in a way that once you're there, you'll know how really maybe selfish you are, and how comfortable you are here in the US. There's poverty, crime, and hate, and all of that. And there's just innocent people caught in between it. And yeah, it's just, it's an eye-opening experience. So, you know, I went, and like I said, Christ for the City International is for a city. So we did a lot of urban missions, which is like another term. I guess I'll like put them up here somewhere. On Sunday, we would go to the shanty towns. A shanty town is a town that's really dangerous, usually. There's a lot of crime, a lot of drugs, and the houses are pretty much made out of like cardboard, things that they steal, anything that they can find, they make houses, and it's not anyone's land. They kind of just squatted there and took that land. So that's kind of like what a shanty town is. So what we would do is once a week we would go to the shanty town and we would just have time with the kids. They were teaching the next generation. You know, it's not that they forgot about their parents. Of course, they try to involve them, but really they are the next generation. And if they can make a difference, and if the Lord can break through in that generation, then, you know, I think it would be very different. So yeah, on Saturday we'd go, we'd play with the kids, and we'd give them food. We'd give them breakfast, and then we'd play, and then we'd give them lunch, and then we would leave. So my experience with that was, those kids are just, you know, they're forgotten, and they're very, very poor, but they see violence all around them. So they themselves sometimes would get very violent, and you know, they were hungry, and some of them were sick, and it really touches your heart and makes you just know how much you need to show them the love of Christ, and you need to show them the love of God, because they don't see that anywhere other than in that place and that day. Because everyone there's different types of volunteers. There are people from Argentina that volunteer. There are other short-term missions, other people that decided to stay there for even longer, you know, and they only see that realness and that love, and they only see that from them, you know, from the people who are there to serve them. So I mean, I had such a humbling experience. That was like the harder experiences for me, because the place was kind of like dingy, and it was a shanty town, and I was kind of like afraid, and the kids were like but the kids were just so open and loving, and they open up to you so quick, and I definitely experienced that. And that was the only thing that was kind of like challenging. It challenged me to, you know, go and hug them and play with them. It challenged me to show that love, the love of God that they need to see from people. So yeah, and then I think once a week we would also go to like the main town square, and we would give out coffee and bread tea and bread, I believe, to the homeless people of the city. And they'd come and we'd have church on the street. And one of the things that I remember so vividly was that they would have a service on the street. So the main leader of the group would, sometimes they would have worship, but most of the time they would just have a word. And they would just preach on the street, and they would listen to them, and then at the end we would pray for them if they had any needs. And I just remember thinking, the Lord is really everywhere. He is everywhere, all around. Even in that street on that day, He's there touching hearts. He's just relentless for His people, for people who love Him and who want to know Him. And He's always there, just always changing hearts, you know, doing something. So I remember that being one of the things one of the most important things that I learned there. The family who hosted me were the leaders from there, and they were amazing. They were awesome, and you know, they would check. I lived with them, so they would check in with you and like do devotionals, and you know, ask you, you know, just hang out with you and kind of walk you through it, because they know that it's a culture shock, and they know that if you've never seen anything like that, you're kind of gonna be like. And then the last thing that I did is sometimes when you have a degree, you can go and serve in that degree or serve in that area. So what I did, I was in a clinic with nurses, and they were so sweet, and I just saw really sick people, people that were poor and mostly children. I would help them with, it was vaccination season, so I'd help them, organize for that. We'd go to schools and vaccinate them. And they were just, yeah, they were just grateful, and I was glad to serve in that area and glad to serve the Lord in that, even in the skills that I've acquired. So yeah, why missions? If you're thinking about going on a short-term missions trip, I would recommend it. I think that if you think that is what you want to do for long-term, you should probably try a short-term thing, because I know people who've gone for short-term and realized that that's not what they really want to do. And, that kind of helps them make a decision. In the end, if you're called to it, the doors will open up and the Lord will really define it in your life. But I feel like it's a really good idea, and you'll learn a lot, and you'll learn how to serve people in that way. And it's like the old church, the disciples who would go to other nations and do that and preach in one place and go to another place, and they did that. So it's kind of an adventure with the Lord, and that's always really good. So yeah, I will link the organization I went with down below in the bottom bar. Okay, so I think this video is going to be really long. I'm going to try to edit it and make it short, but I felt like I need to say what I need to say about everything. So subscribe, follow me on Instagram. I'm trying to set up my Facebook thing, but I don't know, I'm technologically challenged sometimes. And see you next time. Bye.